Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Hershey's Garage. And in today's episode, we're going to be working with wire. And specifically, this is going to be wire that obviously in my previous videos installed stereo equipment and some other stuff. So we're going to be working with wire that's going to be in your truck or your car or whatever. And we want to be able to put them together and put them together safely without them coming apart. So I'm going to show you a good way to do it, a better way to do it, the best way to do it, and the super duper awesome way to do it. So stay tuned because you're going to want to see this because it's very important. All right, so the first way that we're going to do this is by just basically wrapping them together. So you take them, splice them together like this by twisting them around, or you can use a pair of pliers or something to aid you in this process, but basically just wrapping them in a little tight ball there, and then you can bend that over, and then now you have a little secure connection. It doesn't look the greatest unless you go this way, and as you can see, there is a possibility for it to come apart. So that's why it's just a good way of doing this. And of course, anytime you do splice your wires together, I always recommend either using the electrical tape to secure them by just placing it right over and wrapping it up like that. Or you have shrink wrap tube, which is this stuff right here, and and all it is just a rubber consistency that you put over the edge, or not the edge, the ends of these guys. And of course they have to be apart first, so remember that when you're doing this. But you just put it over the end of that guy, and of course slide it down. And then once you make your connection, whatever way that you're going to make it, then you just slide it over there, and then you would take your heating gun or whatever you have. You can even use I usually use either a match or a lighter. Lighter probably is a lot easier, and you light it up and it shrinks down on there, and it's just like if you wrapped it with electrical tape. But that is the first way to do it, is connecting them just real easy, just tying them up just like that. That's the good way. Okay, the second way, and I think the better way, is using the tie method of splicing like that, which you just wrap them together just like that, and then you use one of these little cone guys. I call them the cone guy because it looks like a little cone that you'd stick out on the street there, or you can use it as a hat. But you just put that on there and then insert it in this little, it's got a little metal plate piece in the middle there. See that? And then you just insert it in there and slowly start turning it, and keep turning it until you feel the resistance and it's not really going to turn anymore. And then you always test these to make sure that they're in there. And that's actually a pretty good connection. And a lot of times you see these inside a house. They use these little connectors inside like your walls for the light switches and stuff. This is a better way to do it. And it's still, of course, you want to use your electrical tape, because just in case this decides to arc or spark or anything like that, or smoke, you don't want it spreading anywhere. So you, of course, start wrapping it up just like this, and that creates a pretty good connection. But remember, when you're using these things, it is a pretty bulky type setup. So unless you have as much room in the world as possible, this is going to prohibit you in tighter spaces from accomplishing a lot of things. So just remember that you're going to have a lot of room to use this guy, because if you get multiple guys all together, this can take up your small spaces really easy. So that's the only kind of downward issue with this one. All right, the third or best way to do the splicing is by using one of these little butt connectors. And this is just a little plastic piece, and it's got a little metal rod in the center in here, and it's hollow. And what you do is you take your pieces here, make sure that they're nice and round. So you want to get all those loose strands and put those together just like this, so they're nice and tight. And then all you do is you put one end in and stick it in there, and then you stick your other end and you put it in there, and then you take a handy dandy tool like this guy, and all this is just an electrical stripper, and then it's got a nice little spot here where it's a crimper. But you can use any type of, like a vice grip or channel locks or anything you want to clamp down, just as long as it clamps down on these and doesn't go, you don't smash it totally completely. But what you want to do is you take this and not go right in the middle, but kind of on the sides there, and you push this guy down. And then you go to the other side and just a little bit over and do the same thing. And you push that guy down, crimp that down. All right, and what you end up with is something like this, which has got this little marks right here where you crimp down on it. And I know this is a different one because the first one that I put on there, this one was defective right off the bat. It didn't want to crimp down very nicely, so I just grabbed another one. But this is exactly what you want, and see, it doesn't come out whatsoever. And I actually prefer this method a lot, because this doesn't take up a lot of room like this guy does. You can see the difference, and actually this is pretty small, but this is even smaller. And then of course what you want to do is wrap this guy up on both sides and all the way around, and then you have a pretty much secure, airtight, not going anywhere, not exactly airtight, but you know what I mean, not going anywhere connection. Or you can do it the super duper awesome way and solder it, the connection, which you do it like this, which puts a nice little bead of solder on there. And let's try to focus it so you can see it. There we go. Which that puppy is not coming out of there. And of course, even with this method, you still want to use your electrical tape or shrink wrap tubing or whatever. But this is going to give you the best secure connection, and then it's also going to allow that current to travel and not get interrupted or anything, because everything is nice and tight in there, and it's going to go down to wherever you want it to go, and you're going to get the best sound or whatever you're trying to achieve there. Okay, so before I wrap it up, I'm just going to show you again the three types of wrapping that I like to do over the splicing, just to make sure that it's definitely not going to spark through or or get away from me there. And I'm not going to say a better, best, or super awesome type of deal on these, because it just depends on your application, and I'll show you why. Because this, like I said, the electrical tape, it's awesome. I use this almost all the time. But the shrink wrap tubing is very easy. Once you put it on there and you light it up there, so to speak, and it shrinks down, it can be really fast, and it's just as good as this. So both of these are, right on the money as far as that goes. It's just whatever you prefer, whatever easier, and whatever you want to use. And geez, I get these. This is actually really cheap, and I get these for free, so that's why I use these a lot too. And then of course you have the this wrapping, or it's like a tube, hollow tube that that you put your wire in. If this is going to be in an area that's, like, say, outside underneath your car or in the engine bay or something, and you don't want something rubbing up against it like a piece of metal or something, you would put your wire in here just like this, and it makes sure that nothing is going to attack it. And then of course you would put your electrical tape around here, wrapping it so that no water, dust, or anything like that can penetrate in here. But each one has its benefits and its drawbacks. But these are some of the types that I use, and like I said, this is my main one. So anyway, thanks for watching, guys, and if you can give me a thumbs up, that would be awesome. If you liked it, or if you didn't, give me a thumbs down and tell me why. But subscribe, and have an awesome day. Thanks, guys. Peace.